Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday night. It's After the Club and Sub podcast. I've got another cold beverage here. I think you guys know what that means. It means it's time for Ask Weezy with your host, me, the Mac of the Flapjack Stack, Uncle Weezy. You guys, I hope you're all doing well. It is Wednesday night. We are almost to Saturday. We just got 1, 2, 3 more sleeps, right? Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. Yeah, 3 more sleeps, you guys. It's been a long week already. We're at almost the end of a 12-week stretch. This is week 11 of 12 straight weeks of UFC. So we have been working hard. We've had our nose to the grindstone. And we are almost seeing that light at the end of the tunnel here as a content creator, at least, where you could say, all right, maybe we could take a breath for a week, because 12 straight weeks of the UFC is a lot, but it's going to be really nice to have that week off. But in the meantime, you know, we got to put in the work every damn week, and that's what I've been doing. So I can't wait to talk about this week with you guys, my audience, and let's see who is hanging out here. My guy Kiwi in the room, one of the biggest supporters of the channel. I truly appreciate you, brother. Thank you for signing up for the Patreon. I'd like to thank everybody that signed up for the Patreon, even though it's only been out there for one day. A few of you have already signed up, and I appreciate each and every one of you. The link to the Patreon is in the description of this video. $5 a month to get the stats, to get the DraftKings tab, to get all of my tracked bets, and $20 a month if you want to get that prop template that we've been showing you guys on Propability every week. The analytics within that particular template are pretty mind-blowing, if I do say so myself. It's been a labor of love of mine that's been culminating for the last few months here, and I finally got it into a form where I feel like I can release it to the public if they want to really kind of sharpen up their long-term angles, find ways to get these lines that stick out like sore thumbs. I could tell you of one already today that we'll talk about a little bit later on here today on Ask Weezy, that I hit because of that prop template. And we talked about it on Propability on Monday night on the MMA Engine YouTube channel as well. So, yeah, if you haven't checked out that Patreon yet, it's a way to support your Uncle Weezy in the channel here. $5 a month to get early access to all those stats. I'll be sending out the next week's stats for the pay-per-view probably at some point tomorrow. And everybody will have early access to that. That's part of the Patreon before I release it to the public on Tuesday when we do Just the Tip next week. So Kiwi, thank you. Much love, my brother. Truly appreciate the support that you've been showing to me in the channel, man. I really appreciate it. We got my guy Chris Colanzis in the room saying, let's go. What's up, man? It's good to see you in here, brother. We got Sicky Does MMA saying, oi, what's up, Sicky? Good to see you in here, brother. We've got my guy Mushroom is in the room, and he is saying, oi, yes, must be Wednesday. Let's ask Weezy. I appreciate you hanging out, brother. It is always good to see people that I know and are the regulars that always hang out here on Ask Weezy on Wednesday nights. We got a lot to talk about, man. This is going to be a wild card. 2 straight weeks in a row where we've had cards where there's a lot of juiced favorites. There's probably a lot of overpriced favorites. And then there's, some lower level fights where, it's easy to kind of get a lean one way or another, but you got to be careful on weeks like this. And I know that I'm already hip deep, maybe even throat deep on one of these, but it doesn't make much difference at this point. The read is there. I like what I'm seeing, and I'm ready to talk about it with you guys. And my guy Daz Files, who's always hanging out, always being here with us. Oi, 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 let's go. What's up? We got Wayne Spurlock in the room saying, Weezy, wake up, your show's on. Just playing. You the man, Weezy. I appreciate you, Wayne. Yeah, I'm always late on Wednesday nights. I was watching some television, actually, with the girlfriend. And then when it was over, I was like, oh, my God, it's exactly 10:30. Now, I had everything set up in here already. The only thing I needed to do was get this beverage. Oh, yeah, that's refreshing, man. It's refreshing. We got Ben Katie in the room saying Weezy's grabbing a Paloma, and that's exactly what I was doing. Ben, you know me, brother. You guys all know that I've got to get my Paloma before the show starts, man. We got Forey Wayne saying, Weezy, you're my favorite uncle. I appreciate you, Forey. Thanks for hanging out with us, man, here on Ask Weezy. We got Tommy Unders in the room saying, War Cheeto. If you like unders, Cheeto's your man because that dude finishes fights. We got Luke Fulton in the room. What's going on, my man? And he's got Dom G, and he's saying the flapjacks and the butter, man. I love it. The waffles. Oh, God, that's making me hungry, man. That is absolutely beautiful. What is going on, Luke? He's saying, we throat deep, baby. Let's go. Dave Bandit saying, isn't it late for you there? Good morning, Weezy. Yeah, it's late. It's 10:43 p.m., so it's not crazy late or anything like that. But I always like to do this because I always watch the Club and Sub podcast on Wednesday nights. So I like to make sure that those guys are done before I come on here and start running my mouth, because you've already probably listened to those guys run their mouths for a little while tonight. But yeah, man, Wednesday nights, we're getting closer and closer to the time when these bets we're gonna find out whether they cash or not. So always a good time to be asking questions and figuring out what your leans are at this point of the week. And then we've got Mushroom saying Vera round 4. I'm sprinkling Vera's 3, 4, and 5, but really like Vera round 4 sub. Thoughts? Well, Vera obviously gets better as the fight goes on. And, Dominic Cruz isn't getting any younger. So I think that absolutely in any Marlon Vera fight, you're going to find him becoming more dangerous as the fight goes on, because he's got great conditioning, great durability, and he tends to just walk forward. So he tends to find his opponents. But Dom Cruz is going to make him look real hard to find him. And I don't know, man. I've always been impressed with Dominic Cruz. You know, I mean, like as a fan, when you're not gambling, maybe his fights aren't as exciting as a lot of other people's fights are. But as a gambler, when you're looking for somebody that acts in a predictable fashion and makes good decisions in the cage, Dominic Cruz is the kind of fighter you want to be backing on the long term. This is a guy who knows how to win minutes. And if you know how to win minutes and not lose moments, and that means having a good game plan, keeping the fight where you're most comfortable, keeping the fight where your opponent is least comfortable, and avoiding making big mistakes. If you can have that kind of game plan, you can have longevity in this sport. You can hang around longer than most people would think that you would, and you can accrue a lot less damage than a lot of your other contemporaries in the sport, which means that maybe when you're 50, 55, you're not eating all your meals through a straw. So, Dominic Cruz is one of those fighters that isn't going to just stand in front of Marlon Vera and let Marlon Vera swing hammers at him. So, yeah, I got a feeling that this fight is going to go to decision. But, Dominic Cruz, like I said, he's not getting any younger. Those knees, who knows how long they're going to be able to hold up. He's had a lot of injuries in his career. But he's been doing this a long time, and he's been in the cage with the best fighters that the sport has to offer. And he's had a 24-3 record. Despite all of that. So I don't know if Vera's finishing this dude. But Vera is like I love that Marlon Vera is fighting 5-round fights now, because it means that we can see this guy actually take his time in the first, maybe a little bit of the second, get the reads that he needs to get, figure out the best way to pressure his opponent and draw the fight out of his opponent that he wants. And we'll find ways to use what his attributes are, and that's the durability, the toughness, the pressure, in order to win fights and find those moments where you can finish the fight. So, the main event is something that I'm kind of considering betting dog or pass, because Cruz can be counted on to fight very smart and has the tools in order to fight that fight. So I don't know, man. I'm going to be staying away from that one for the most part, I think. We got Luke Fulton saying, my question is, do you agree with the Cruz Vera line? I capped it closer to a pick'em, and I still see money coming in on Cheeto. Enlighten me. Well, I just talked a lot about that, I tend to think that Cruz is a great minute winner, and Vera is a great moment winner. I mean, look at here. If I zoom in on these stats, and let's get my stats up on the screen here, right? Now, if you look at the striking stats here, Marlon Vera landing 4.33 per minute and absorbing 5 per minute. only a 50% striking defense and a 52% striking accuracy, and the dude's landed 9 knockdowns in 19 fights. So what we can see by landing 4.33 and absorbing 4.99 and throwing less volume than his opponents are is that he is probably losing minutes, in the striking exchanges. In addition to that, we don't see Marlon Vera choosing to wrestle much. 26 takedown attempts here, as we can see, right? 26 takedown attempts in 19 fights. It's barely over one. He's averaging less than 1 takedown per 15 minutes, and his control time is just over 1/8 of his UFC cage time of 226 minutes. It is spent controlling his opponents. It's about 25 minutes of control time on those 26 takedown attempts, and a lot of it is going to be on the fence. So Vera is not a master of winning minutes. While Dominic Cruz has 26 takedowns at the UFC in 81, and he's got the same amount of control time, 13%, is Marlon Vera. But Dominic Cruz is only being controlled 4% of his UFC career, while it's almost 25% for Vera. So we see minute winning in the grappling for Cruz. We see minute winning in the striking as he's landing 1 more significant strike per minute than he absorbs. He's throwing 1.4 more significant strike attempts than he absorbs. He's only landed 1 knockdown in 9 fights, while Vera's landed 9 in 19 fights. So, and then you see the 66% striking defense too. Now, the thing that Cruz doesn't have that Vera has is the durability, as he's been knocked down 4 times, almost 4 times, 4 times in 9 fights. So he's getting knocked down, despite the fact that he is good defensively. It's Cruz is losing moments at points in the fights, and Marlon Vera is winning moments. But if you look at the stats over the long term, Luke, it's Cruz who's winning minutes. So when you're capping it close to even, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, this guy is going to be able to win enough minutes in order to get a decision. And if it goes to decision, you don't want to be holding that big juiced, minus money ticket, because now you're at the mercy of the judges, and you just laid a 75% implied probability, and that is a bad position to be in. So I think there is quite a bit of value here on Cruz, and Cruz especially by decision, because nobody's finishing Marlon Vera. Great finishers aren't finishing Marlon Vera. So that means Dominic Cruz is going to need to get really lucky in order to be the first person to finish Marlon Vera. It's going to need to be like a calf deadening thing or a freak injury. But that's the only way he's stopping Marlon Vera. So, I think Dominic Cruz is a good bet here, and I don't have a problem with anybody who's saying, you know what, I'm taking that plus money shot on Dom. We got Backstab of 47 saying, much love from Pilsen. Appreciate everything you do, Weezy. Let's go. Dude, Pilsen's awesome, man. Big ups to Pilsen. That is a great neighborhood. I love it. I'm in Avondale myself. We got a very similar thing going on over here in Avondale as Pilsen. It's just a little bit of a north side Pilsen. But good to see you in here, Backstab. I appreciate you. Randy Fowler saying, Weezy, what are your thoughts on the Lipski Cachoeira fight up to 135 pounds? It might actually benefit Cachoeira. Well, yeah, I think what happened there was if they were to make that fight again at 125, it would be very irresponsible, knowing that they just had to take Lipski to the hospital because of a bad weight cut just 6 days ago, so you can't have the fight at 125. So in a sense, Cachoeira is probably going to have to cut a little bit of weight. So is Lipski. But I think that knowing that Lipski was just in the hospital 1 week before she's going to be fighting is enough to get me off of that minus 190 money line on her. I think that the fact that Lipski had health problems last week absolutely benefits Cachoeira this week, and it makes the plus money that much more intriguing. I had Lipski in my greasy 4-legger last week, and that obviously that turned the 4-legger to a 3-legger. I wouldn't, and I got her at minus 170 last week. I am not playing her at minus 190 this week. I I would much rather be on the Cachoeira side. But I think I'm just going to stay away from that one because there's a little bit of missing information in terms of what this delaying the fight 1 week means for both fighters. So since I don't really know and I don't have a read on that, I'm going to stay away from it, Randy. Jada Fight fan saying, what are your thoughts on parlaying 3 big favorites on this card? I was thinking Lupi, Benitez, Silva. Yeah, I think this is a card where you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to parlay in order to get a little bit of value this week because there are so many juiced favorites. Marlon Vera is minus 230. David Onama is minus 310 on a couple of books. We got Yasmin Yarigi sitting at minus 178 on one book, but every place else she's minus 200 or better. We've got Silva sitting here at almost minus 300. We've got Budai sitting here at about minus 280. Benitez minus 370. Lipski minus 220. I mean, and the money's still coming in on her. Lupe, like you said, minus 400 almost here on FanDuel. So, yeah, this is a great week to parlay. And, I mean, I think Lupe wins. I think Benitez wins. And I think Silva wins. I also think Budai wins. I think Budai is parlayable. I think Bruno Silva is parlayable. And, I'd be shocked if Ontiveros beat Benitez, to be honest with you. I mean, Benitez is just such way, way, way more of a quality fighter here. But do I want to lay minus 370 on Gabriel Benitez just straight away? To get odds down, here's what I'd do. I would parlay Lupe and Silva. And then what I'd do is I would just take Benitez inside the distance because Charlie Ontiveros isn't lasting 3 rounds with a female straw weight. Okay? This guy is brittle. He is a good hammer, but he is a piss poor nail. So somebody's getting served in that fight. And I mean, if you're on the Benitez side, you might as well just take him inside the distance because it would be shocking the way that Benitez kicks like a mule. And this guy is tapped to having Vaseline put on his head before a fight before. He's tapped to having his hair dyed. Too much bleach actually caused him to go to the hospital for a week due to a bad hair dye. He's not one body kick from Benitez, and this dude's going to fold like a lawn chair. So take Benitez inside the distance. That way you don't have to parlay it. And then if I were you, what I would do is I would take Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, Jada Fight fan, Martin Budai, and throw him in that parlay along with Lupe and Silva, and then cash the Benitez inside the distance bet. That's what I would do, brother. But thank you for hanging out here. And where is my cursor? There it is. And we got King Bicky in the room saying, I'll take under 4.5 at plus money. That's basically the entire fight. So check it out, right? And like I say, I'm going to be pimping my Patreon here, but this is the Patreon, you guys. This is what the big money for the Patreon goes towards. If you're taking that $20 a month tier, you're getting access to this beautiful prop template here. And the under 4.5 at plus money. So let's look at the 5-round analytics tab here on the prop template, right? And then we can zoom in at 150%. And we see that featherweight fights, which I have highlighted here, don't go to decision 56.52% of the time. And that the fight, we can do the under 4.5 as well. All the way over here, the under 4.5 happens 52% of the time. So if you're getting plus money, and anything plus money tells you that you're at least getting value for it, right? Because 52% in odds is like plus 105. Or I'm sorry, that's minus 105. So anything that you're getting plus money means that you're getting a little bit of an edge on the books because you're getting plus money, but the long-term benchmark for featherweight fights finishing under 4.5 rounds is 52.17%. So what you should be paying is around minus 105, minus 110. So at plus money, the analytics like it. Also, we can look over here and we can see that the fight doesn't go to decision 56% of the time. So there's still even 4% of those fights have finished. The 5-round featherweight fights have finished. Or I'm sorry, I got featherweight here and it's fucking bantamweight. My bad. That's terrible analysis by your Uncle Weezy, but here it is. The analytics kick ass, and that's the thing. That's Weezy proof, is that the analytics are correct here. 56.67%. So that's, that's almost 60%. You're almost looking at it maybe like a minus 135 there that you should be paying, and you're getting plus money. So the analytics like it. Probably getting somewhere around an 8% edge over the books here, just based on the long-term benchmark for bantamweight fights finishing under 4.5. These are all the bantamweight fights that were 5 rounds that have happened since 2013. And we have this under 2.5. We have fight doesn't start or does start. So if you want access to these analytics and then have them piped into these spreadsheets so that you can compare the implied probabilities of the line to the divisional finish rates, to the fighter finish rates. And then you can compare the divisional finish rates to the fighter finish rates as well. And all 3 of these analytics are stacked right underneath the fight doesn't go to decision bet. So you got whatever bet it is that you're considering here, the analytics are piped into the sheet, and you're getting to know whether you're overpaying, underpaying, or paying just right for any of these props. So check out the Patreon if you want access to this prop template. If you're doing a lot of time prop bets, this is the best analytics package you could possibly get. And even if you don't want that, you can still get the $5 tier, and you'll get all the matchups that I do every week, the advanced stats for every single fighter on the card, their fighter histories, offense and defense, and it's just a great value, and it's a great way to support your Uncle Weezy. So pardon the commercials. It's a brand new Patreon, so I got to pimp it every once in a while, everybody. But yeah, man, King Bicky, the analytics like that bet is what a long story is becoming short now. And we got Goot saying, don't parlay Benitez. Do Budai, and that's exactly what I said. I said, do Budai, Lupi, and Silva, and just bet Benitez inside the distance, because that way you don't have to pay up to like minus 350 for him. Just get him at like minus 200 and know that if he doesn't finish on Tavares inside the distance, that something is seriously wrong. I think Font would beat Cruz, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. That would be a very interesting fight. I bet Cruz, said Luke Fulton. There you go. And we got my guy Jazz in the room saying, what do you think of Hill, Nunez, and Cachoeira's chances of forcing a striking battle based on the data? Okay, so let's first start with the first name that you said is Angie Hill. And for Angie Hill, it's going to be very difficult. Whoops. Looks like I skipped over Angie Hill. All right, so let's go down here. Now, it's very important. We look at a couple of things when we're looking at the striker versus grappler matchup. We're looking at the striker, not only their takedown defense, right? But what percentage of their fights are spent standing? Because that's such a great indicator to suggest that, okay, yeah, if it's 80% or above, if 4 of 5 seconds on the aggregate over a very large sample size are telling you that Angela Hill's fights are standing at that percentage, then it's up to Lupi to get it way past what we have for a very big benchmark here in a big sample size of 20 UFC fights in 278 minutes of cage time. So Angela Hill gets 12% control time and gives up 17.7. So she's spending 30%, 3 out of 10 seconds in her fights in control time positions for or against. And I would say that she is losing she's winning about 40%, losing about 60%. Lupi Godinez is getting 56% takedown accurate, 56% control time for, 13% control time against. So that means 7 out of 10 seconds of Lupi's fights are taking place in control time positions for or against. And she's winning about 80% of those control time positions. So those are numbers that seriously favor Godinez. Then we look at 50 takedown attempts in only 5 fights. She's getting them at a terrifying rate. Dude, 46% is very good. Very good. And she's averaging 5.37 takedowns per 15 minutes. Angela Hill has good takedown defense, 77% on the aggregate, and she's only allowing 1.18 takedowns per 15 minutes. So this is something where I would have to say that my faith would be that Godinez gets this fight to the ground. She's attempting 10 takedowns per fight, while Angela Hill in 20 fights has seen less than 100 takedown attempts. So she's seeing about 4.8 takedown attempts per fight. So she's going to be seeing about twice as many takedowns on average as she usually sees. And she's going to see them from, I guarantee, a fighter who's getting them at a higher percentage than her prior opponents. So I think Godinez gets Hill down. Next one, Nunes. So Nunes against Calvillo. Calvillo gets her takedowns at a 43% clip. Nunes defends takedowns at a 76% clip. Nunes's fights taking place in control time positions about 40% of the time. Calvillo less than 25% of the time. And we've seen Nina Nunes be in there with some of the better grapplers in the division, including Tatiana Suarez, and I believe Carla Esparza, but I'm not sure about that. Let's just see over here, actually. Well, I mean, Suarez, Gadelia, Marcos, and Dern are her last 4 fights. So she's been in there with good grapplers. Now, but still, she's giving up 28% control time against. So that's a little bit more than I'd like to see, but it's not like Calvillo's been a control time monster. And Calvillo is averaging about 3.5 takedown attempts per fight. So I would give Nunes a better chance of keeping this fight on the feet than I would give Hill, due to the fact that Calvillo isn't as dominant of a wrestler and doesn't have the commitment to the wrestling that I'd like to see. But the 21% control time for and 1.45% control time against tells me that when she does choose to grapple, she's winning about 90% of those positions, and that's very good. But I want to see more takedown attempts, and I want to see more control time for. And then the last one is Cachoeira. So Cachoeira is going to be going up against, that'll be the very first tab here. And she's going up against Lipski. And Lipski's now training at ATT. So she's going to be wrestling a little bit more. But we see only 5 takedown attempts in 7 fights for Ariane Lipski. And we see 26 takedown attempts for Cachoeira in 7 fights. So Lipski would need to attempt 4 takedowns in the fight in order for Cachoeira to see the average amount of takedowns that she usually sees. Cachoeira 65% takedown accuracy, takedown defense, only 20% takedown accuracy for Lipski. And we've only seen her get 1 takedown in 7 fights. And Lipski's losing a lot of control time positions here at 31%. And it just like Cachoeira is, but she's getting a lot more control time. So Lipski might go for cage control time here. She might go for takedowns, but there's not a ton of evidence to suggest that she's going to be successful doing so, because she's not attempting a lot of takedowns. We haven't seen her push a wrestling heavy game plan for 15 full minutes. So I would say that Hill has the least chance. I would say Cachoeira has the next best chance, and I think Nunes has the best chance of forcing a striking battle here. That was a long answer, but I hope that's what you're looking for, Jazz. Big ups to you, brother. My guy Kiwi in the room said if COVID affected her weight cut, it would have affected her camp. That's true. That's true. And I don't know, did she say COVID affected her weight cut? Because I didn't hear that. But yeah, that would be something that I would be concerned about, and it would be push me more to the Cachoeira side for sure. Bananas and Grapes saying I love Loopy, and look, I love Loopy too. I love anybody that can wrestle like Loopy. I mean, she's just putting it out there. 50 takedown attempts in 5 fights, getting them at almost a 50% clip. 46, 5.37 takedowns for 15 minutes, over 56% control time. Those are elite grappling numbers. So Hill's gonna have her work cut out for her on Saturday. Which chalky favorite do you think boasts the least impressive stats heading into Saturday? Okay, so that would be so we could, like, Onama's a chalky favorite here, and the stats are not great for Onama. Silva, good power numbers, decent takedown defense with spending. Yeah, he doesn't have great numbers, but fuck, I mean, Meerschaert doesn't either. Budai's numbers are really good. But it's in a small sample size, but 72.5% striking accuracy, 1.81 knockdown for 15 minutes, landing twice as many significant strikes as he absorbs, and 68% control time for him, 1.71% control time against. But Bresky's doing the same thing in the stats, and is also outlanding his opponents. So that one, I don't know. Maybe Benitez. Benitez doesn't have great stats. I mean, especially in the grappling, but he's sneaky with his submission ability. 1.12 submission attempts for 15 minutes, and Benitez has gotten some submission wins. He's gotten 2 of them in the UFC. So, yeah, that's interesting. It's there aren't a lot of guys that are big favorites that have shit stats. Even Vera, like, he's not a minute winner, but you see the 9 knockdowns in 19 fights. That's really good, you know. You see the 42% takedown defense is good. Over 1 submission attempt per 15 minutes is good. It's hard to say because none of the big favorites have like blow you out of the water stats. Budai's are really good, but like I say, it's in 2 fights, and he's fought Huggy Bear and he fought some guy, Lorenzo Hood. So, I mean, like, it's not like he's fought that much better competition than Bresky has. But he has fought better competition than Bresky has, because we've only seen Bresky against Dylan Potter, and he didn't even look that great in that fight. He just won a lot of minutes on top. So, yeah, that's a great question. I would say the least impressive stats out of a big chalky favorite this week are probably it's probably maybe Vera or Onama. Mushroom saying, has anyone ever seen Jandaroba and Rob Schneider in the same room at the same time? Not that I know of. That'd be a really cool picture to have. Vera with her arm around Rob Schneider, with them both smiling. That would be pretty damn funny. If anybody has, please let us know in the chat, because that's a very valid question there from Mushroom. Jada Fight fan scene, feel like Nate the Train not getting enough love as a dog. Onama didn't look particularly impressive versus Armfield, and Nate's last win is aging nicely. Yeah, it really is. And Nate's I don't hate you if you're taking a shot on Nate the Train here at plus 270. Plus 270 on Bet Online, is that right? Wow, man. I mean, that's disrespect, because when you just look at the lines here for Nate the Train, he is, so Onama's bigger, but Nate's got the experience advantage, right? Nate throws more volume than his opponents, while Onama doesn't. Nate lands a lot more volume than Onama does. Onama's got the power, and Nate's been knocked down. So Onama will probably be the better minute winner, or the moment winner on the feet. And Nate's got really good takedown defense at 87.5%. So, you know, if Nate pressures and you know, this is going to be a train crash. It's going to be a great fight. And Benitez was getting the better of Onama. It was just that Onama was just durable enough to weather that storm and then land those big shots. And he shut Benitez's lights off. So, both of these guys have got power. Both of these guys are very good. So it's going to be a great fight. But I like that plus 270 on Landwehr, man. I think he's live. My guy Papa Chuck saying, sorry, I'm late to class, man. Don't worry about it. Pull up a chair. There are no... Uncle Weezy's not a prick professor that's like out here taking attendance on you guys, man. He's the cool one that's smoking weed with you in his office, that's telling you, hey, man, the rest of these pricks around here, they're all a bunch of bullshitters. Just listen to your Uncle Weezy. I'll get you through this shit. We'll cheat you through like your Priscilla Cachoeira trying to get out of a rear naked choke, and then you go out there in the real world and shave some ass. That's how you win in life. Oh, you know how else you win in life? Make yourself a cold Paloma every night before bed. It just, something about it, you guys. It's just so damn refreshing. Love each and every one of you guys here. How many of you guys hanging out? We got 38 of you guys hanging out for Ask Weezy. I appreciate you. JSJ saying, unrelated, but curious to get your take. Early lean on Molly McCann versus Erin Blanchfield. Bout agreements just got signed. Depends on whether it's in England or in the States. If it's in England, I might be taking Molly. But, you know, no, I'm not. Erin Blanchfield drowns her. Why don't we do it, you guys? Let's it's Ask Weezy. So let's make a matchup template. Erin Blanchfield versus Molly McCann. Oh fuck, I don't have Molly McCann's most recent stats uploaded, I don't think, but still it'll be good. So I'll take the database here. We'll open that up because it's a good enough fight to look at for sure. And then we got the matchup template. We'll need that as well. And then I'm just going to put another tab on this here. And let's cut and paste our matchup template into this empty page. All right. And then we're going to go to our database. We're going to find one Molly McCann. And we're going to cut and paste her into this. And then we're going to take Blanchfield stats and we're going to cut and paste. Don't see her on the screen. Okay, where I gotta get rid. All right. Right now we got Blanchfield's numbers here. Cut and paste that into the template. And here we go. Blanchfield only 23, 8 years younger, 4-inch reach advantage for Erin Blanchfield on the feet. That'll be good. Molly McCann, 6 more pro fights, about 90 more minutes in the pro cage, about 2.5 more years as a pro, and about 5 more fights at the UFC level and about 70 more minutes in the UFC cage. Molly McCann, 42% finish rate, 20%. Well, it's now going to be 33% at the UFC level. And we got Erin Blanchfield with a 44% finish rate and 9 wins. McCann's takedown defense is 35%. How would you like to be holding a Molly McCann ticket against a girl when you know her takedown defense is 35%? When you know Erin Blanchfield's getting takedowns at 66.67% and is out-controlling her opponents at a 30-to-1 ratio. We just were talking about somebody who had 54% control time for in Lupi Godinez. Well, look at what Erin Blanchfield's doing. 60% control time for, only 2% control time against. So that's good enough for me. I think Erin Blanchfield takes this girl down easily and then just drowns her on the mat. That would be an easy bet for me. I'd be picking Blanchfield. And that's the beautiful thing about having stats like this at your disposal. And that's why we do a show like Ask Weezy, because my guy Jazz can ask me a question and we can put together a matchup template just like that with all the fabulous stats that I have here in a little bit of time and know right off the jump here that Molly McCann's going to have a really difficult time stopping takedowns from Aaron Blanchfield. Prabesh saying, hey, Uncle, is it okay to get Gerald Meerschaert in any way possible? Yeah, bet him by sub. Bet him by sub. Dude, that's what Gerald Meerschaert does. If we go here, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wrong sheet. Let's go here to Meerschaert. Meerschaert's got 34 wins, right? 9 in the UFC. 8 of his 9 UFC wins are by submission. 1 is by knockout, okay? In his 34 wins, 76% of them are by submission. So that means 17 plus 8 is 25, 26 career wins by submission for Gerald Meerschaert. So bet him to win by submission. He's a big underdog. He doesn't win minutes really in this fight. He doesn't win a decision because he's not this guy. He gets takedowns at a 40% clip, which is very impressive, but he gets less than 25% control time before, and that's only 19 takedowns in 16 fights. Bruno Silva's not trying to take him down, and Gerald Meerschaert is not a guy who's going out there and shooting 6-7 takedowns in a fight. He's just not. He's a guy who tries to get one takedown after he gets the shit beaten out of him, and if he does get that takedown, he's live to catch a submission. Prabesh, Bruno Silva, in his 7 pro losses, 71% of them are by submission, as we see right here. So that means 5 of his 7 career losses are by submission. 76% of Gerald Meerschaert's career wins are by submission, and 89% of Gerald Meerschaert's career UFC wins are by submission. So just bet Meerschaert to win by submission. If you think that he's got a shot here, that's his path to victory. Yeah, Mushroom yelling at Papa Chuck. Late means dead. Late does not mean dead here, Mushroom. Come on, man. Unc, what do you think of Zalal and Lupi via decision? Budai via KO, TKO. Current odds are around plus 860. So, okay, yeah. So you're just saying the Zalal money line, which I like. I think that he's got more ways to win this fight than Blackshear does. Lupi via decision, I think is absolutely her best path. Angela Hill is very durable, and I think Budai is going to murder Bresky. So I like it, Papa Chuck. That one gets the bam Uncle Weezy stamp of approval, Papa Chuck. Cash it at plus 860. Let's go. I happen to have no class. That's why we get along so well, says Papa Chuck. Sounds about right. We got Betty and Barney Hill. Betty and Barney Hill. Mushroom? I see. Oh, okay. Yeah. There we go. And Tiffany Shriver, ring a ding ding with the donation for her Uncle Weezy, saying just a fan saying thank you. And your Uncle Weezy's telling you thank you, Tiffany, for keeping the lights on here in your Uncle Weezy's studio, making sure that Ask Weezy is here every Wednesday night, making sure that Just the Tip is here every Tuesday night. So I appreciate you supporting the channel, Tiffany. Thank you so much. It means a lot. We got Goots in the room saying, how long do you think it takes for Gerald to go night-night? I think maybe about a round and a half. That's what I think. I think Bruno Silva is incredibly dangerous. RJ Kogan saying, I'm fading Budai. Well, I hope you're wrong, RJ. And let me ask you something, man. If you're fading Budai and you're betting Bresky, do me a favor. I've got 4.5 units on the Budai money line, almost a max bet at minus 225. And I also have at minus 125, the fight doesn't go to decision for Budai Bresky. So if Bresky wins this fight by decision, I'm going to be out 7 units. So do me a favor. Let me sleep on your couch if you're right about Bresky, because your Uncle Weezy is going to be homeless if you're right about fading Budai. Goot saying fading Budai is in betting against him or fading the fight as a whole. Because if you're betting against, you just donated money to the bookie. Now, I like the way you think, Goots, because I'm on your side. And he's saying against. Damn it, RJ. Damn it. I hope you're wrong, brother, because like I said, I'm going to get my ass shaved if Bresky goes out there and kicks Budai's ass. Rest in peace. You're about to watch your boy get controlled up against the cage for 15 minutes straight. I hope he gets out controlled against the cage for about 8 minutes straight and then gets knocked out. But, it's a UFC fight. Every time I've ever gotten overconfident about a pick, it's wound up blowing up in my face. So I'm going to be very, very humble. I'm going to say that I think that Martin Budai has the better conditioning. He's the much bigger man. He's got that real heavyweight UFC frame. I think he's a lot more well-rounded than Bresky. I think we saw in the Lorenzo Hood fight that Martin Budai is very, very durable. Bresky has been caught cheating. He is a heavy PED user, and he just pissed hot. Shout out to Patrick from Addicted to Combat, was watching his breakdown. He's done some great breakdowns when people have gotten caught with steroids, breaking down what steroid they were using and how it fits into, whether it was a, like a tainted supplement or were they, blatantly cheating. And what Bresky pissed hot for was something called clomiphene. And what it is an estrogen blocker. Now, this is all from Patrick because I watched his channel. I was educated about this. And what you do, evidently, when you are juicing, your testosterone goes up, but also your estrogen goes up. And then when you come off the cycle, you need something to lower the estrogen in your system. So people use clomiphene when they're coming off of cycling. So while what he got caught pissing hot for isn't actually a performance enhancer, it proves that this guy is a cheater and that he is a PED user. So now he is being tested rigorously by USADA because not only has he been caught already, but he's in the UFC testing pool. So that in itself makes it so much more difficult to cheat. So with all those factors working against Bresky here, I really do think that all those advantages that Budai has, and I think he's the much better grappler too, it means that he's going to be the guy that easily wins this fight. So I'm hoping. Andy Gonzalez checking in. What's up, Andy? Good to see you in here saying, "Oi, yes, Uncle, low value in the locks like Blindado or Lupita, but both fighters will get the job done." Yeah, I completely agree with you, Andy. I mean, like, there's not a lot of value with just betting those straight lines on Silva or Lupita. But when you look at those stylistic matchups, it's like, fuck, man. Here's how Gerald Meerschaert wins. He gets the shit beaten out of him for about 3.5 minutes straight. Silva follows him to the ground, and like Meerschaert just grabs onto an arm and gets something. Whether it's a triangle, whether it's an arm bar, whether it's a sweep, and then he winds up taking the dude's back and getting a rear naked choke. He's just a master of finding that submission after using his durability to kind of draw his opponent into a spot that they shouldn't have put themselves into. So I think Silva wins this fight pretty much damn near every time. And then Lupita, with that wrestling that she has and the ability to be able to push the pace, any woman that's her size and doesn't have elite takedown defense is just going to be a nightmare fight for them if they're fighting Lupe. So I'm with you, Andy. I think that that's a good parlay, good two-leg parlay there that probably cashes, and I would be shocked if either leg didn't. I don't care about Budai's opponent, just the numbers. Okay. Gutsa, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, I mean, it does. I mean, like the numbers do matter. The data matters, you guys. But the stylistic, matchups matter as well. And we've got to watch tape too. I think the data is a good way to understand kind of like where the baseline is, right? And then once you understand where the baseline is and what the implied probability of the line that you're betting is, and how your capping fits into that, that's when you start staying away from overpriced lines, when you start jumping on lines that just don't make sense. So the data can be a great guide. RJ saying, I'm criticizing your boy. Yeah, you are. I hope you're wrong, RJ. I got no problem with you being on the other side, though, man. Bananas and Greg saying, is Nate realistically going to win? It's a little foggy to see. Onama has been shining. Yeah, I mean, he has. I mean, Onama looks good, and he's much younger, much hungrier. He's at a completely different part or point in his career right now. He's hot, 2 wins in a row, and he's fighting a guy that's, That's a little bit older, but a lot more well tested, a lot more experience, has fought the much better brand of competition, and really just is coming off a very good performance of his own. So it's a fight that I'm not betting. I really don't have a good read on this. I think it's going to be a fucking banger. I think Onama wins, but I think that Nate the Train is just very dangerous, and he tends to pull shit out when you don't think he's going to pull shit out. I think everybody and their brother was on Elkins in that Nate the Train fight. And I mean, everybody was on Ludovic Klein too. And I mean, Nate just clowned that dude, just choked him out in the third round. It was like wrapping up Darce's like he's Tony Ferguson, man. It was wild. So I'm staying away from it, Bananas and Grapes. It's one I just don't have a good read on, and I'm gonna really enjoy the shit out of that fight. So I don't need to have any money on it on this one. And since I don't really have any analytics that are telling me, oh, bet this or bet that I'm just gonna enjoy it. Andy's saying Onama should not be favored like that, but I don't like both fighters to bet. Yeah, I'm with you there, Andy. It's a good call. Goot's saying my three most confident picks are Silva, Budai, Godinez. What are your top three? So my number one would be Budai because that's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. My number two most confident pick would be Bruno Silva. And my number three most confident pick, it would either be Benitez or Lupe Godinez, without question. It's one of them. And then I do like Harigi in this spot against Lucindo quite a bit. I was very impressed by what I saw from Harigi on tape, and I was actually really impressed by Lucindo as well. But Lucindo's been stopped in 3 or 4 losses. She's only 20 years old. She's taking this fight on short notice, and the fight is at 115 pounds, and she hasn't fought at 115 in 2 years, you guys. And as a matter of fact, just 2 fights ago, fought a fight at 143 pounds. So Lucindo taking the fight on short notice and fighting at a weight class she hasn't cut to in over 2 years is terrifying against a fighter like Harigi, who is very well-rounded and really puts a pace on her opponents and hits very, very hard for the weight class. So I would say that would probably be my 5th most confident favorite is Yasmin Harigi. Great question. My guy Daz Files in the room right there. We got Banana Boat Float saying, ha ha, shout out Uncle Weezy. What's up, man? Go Flamingo in the room. What's up, man? Saying, what's up, Weezy? You said Onama stats don't look great, but we all knew you were thinking they're kind of awful. Nate the Train stopping all station. They're not. I mean, look, it's that Mason Jones fight was kind of an outlier. He really got a volume put on him by Mason there, and that makes the overall stats look bad. But yeah, I mean, look, he's only 3 fights in. It's a small sample size, but he's 2-1. He's a young man, and the fight that he did lose, he took on very short notice and really made a great account of himself. So I think that people like hype drives the line. And right now there's a lot of hype on David Onama. So if you want to bet him, you got to pay up. And what does that mean? It means that the value is on Landwehr. Now, I don't have back testing yet. That would tell us, in terms of like when we're trying to build a model to give us money lines. When you dump all these stats into the hopper, and then you back test how those stats correlate to winning and losing, and you find which stats are significantly significant, and then you compare those stats against each other for both fighters. You can come up with like, all right, fighter A wins this fight 60% of the time, fighter B wins it 40% of the time. And then what that tells you is, okay, fighter A should be about minus 150 and fighter B should be about plus 150. But we know that there's going to be that VIG, so fighter A is going to be minus 155, fighter B is going to be plus 135, 140, and there's going to be that market there. But when you're looking at those stats that you're back testing, when Landwehr's been more has fought the better brand of competition. He's more experienced, and then he's got really good takedown defense at this level. It would probably tell you that he's the value in this spot. He's got a better implied chance to win this fight than what the odds are saying. So I get what you're saying, go. And like I said earlier tonight, I don't have any problem with people taking the Nate the Train dog shot here. All right, we got Nathan 98 saying, if Marlon can get past Cruz with ease, would that set him up for a title shot? Do you think Dana is licking his chops at the potential Sean rematch? Man, that's interesting. Yeah, if Marlon gets past Cruz here, it'll be a main event win against Font. It'll be a main event win against Cruz. I think that he will be like one fight away, because I still think that Jan is much more in the mix, and TJ Dillashaw is a name that's getting thrown around a lot more. I mean, I don't know why people are throwing Sean O'Malley's name. He just lost 2 rounds to Pedro Munoz and then poked him in the eye. So I don't know why people think that, you know, he would be in the title shot. But I don't think that he's showing up for a Peter Yan fight. Not if he's got an ounce of fucking brains in his head. If he was afraid to engage with Pedro Munoz, can you fucking imagine what Peter Yan is going to do to this guy? It's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad. Peter Yan is going to murder Sean O'Malley. So I don't think that this sets him up for a title shot. I think he would have to go through somebody like Sandhagen, somebody like Dillashaw, somebody like Peter Yan. And I think a rematch against Sean O'Malley, I don't think that that's going to do Marlon Vera any good. If he beats Dominic Cruz and does a great job of it, he's not going to be looking that, O'Malley's in the rearview mirror. He's going to be calling out Sandhagen or Dillashaw or the champion. So yeah, that could be interesting. I don't think Dana wants that Sean O'Malley rematch. There's so many good fights out there for O'Malley. Goat saying, Weezy, a goddamn spreadsheet wizard. It's you know what I did, Goots? I was looking for work, right? And, I was just having no success with it after I'd passed all these actuarial exams, went back to school, got a statistics degree, was looking for, work in data science, actuarial science, that kind of stuff. I was kind of shooting high, but, I thought I would be able to find a job, couldn't find it. And then when I realized what a waste of time sending out all these resumes into the ether was, I just started keeping these stats. And it was, I kind of just learned on the job in terms of how to put these spreadsheets together, because if you're just going to do data entry all day, it sucks, right? So you got to find a way to save the work and let the spreadsheets do the work. And, once you code the cells properly, the spreadsheet does all the work. It computes all the formulas. And if you put enough time into learning that, these spreadsheets can do amazing things, and they can really reduce the amount of work that you have to do, and it saves me a lot of work by storing the data the way that I do and programming the templates the way that I do. It allows me to be able to create these things fairly quickly, which allows me to be able to send them out to you guys for free. Go saying, Dana licking his chops at O'Malley fighting for a title. I think he'd like to see O'Malley fight for a title, but I mean, I don't know how he's going to do that when he's in a body cast in the hospital after Peter Yan murders him. Victor De Jesus in the room. What's up, G? Saying, what's up, Weezy? Sorry I'm late. Was showing support to my boy Patrick and Addicted to Combat. Dude, Patrick's the man. Like, I was just shouting him out in here. Guy does a great show. He's got a great channel. Banana Boat Float saying, when do you think John Jones will come back? I don't think he's ever coming back, man. If he wanted to fight, he could have called out anybody that was a fair fight for him. But, the fact that doesn't have anybody's name in his mouth that's a realistic fight. Maybe he should fight Nate Diaz. That's what didn't Nate Diaz said he wanted to fight Ngannou or Jones. They should make the Nate Diaz John Jones fight. That would be fucking hilarious. Mr. D, same question. I took Vera Silva parlay for plus 102. Is there one other fighter you have high confidence in to add to it? Yeah, for me, the highest confidence read of the week is Martin Buday. You can add him in there, and he's one of the. Wow, now he's like almost damn near 300 at this point. But yeah, that'll take it 50% down to 37.5%. If you were to add Buday at minus 300, and at 37.5%, that would be 160. That's 38.5. 165 is 37 point. Yeah, it'll be about plus 165. is what you would get for that parlay if you were to add Budai in at minus 300-ish. But that's not a bad look. But yeah, I'm with the Vera Silva parlay, but I think Silva and Budai and Godinez are my three favorite parlay pieces this week. Hunter for Life 3020 saying, what do you think is the best fave of the card? It's definitely Martin Budai for me. Goot saying, I did Vera Silva, Usman Romanov 2-card parlay plus 350. Vera Silva, and then you got Romanov. Who's Romanov? He's fighting De Lima? No, he already beat De Lima. I forget. Let's see here. Who was stupid enough to sign on the dotted line against? Oh, it's Tabura, isn't it? I think it's Tabura next week. And yep, Tabura. Tabura's a good grappler, but God, Romanov is such a good wrestler, man. Interesting fight. I don't know if I'd be laying minus 350 on Romanov there. I might be taking a little bit of a look at the Tabura money line at plus 290, but that's a fight I can't wait for, man. That's a really good one. Wendy Willis saying, Unc Weez, my head will explode when Vera beats old man Cruz. Hashtag Cheeto Army. Yeah, dude, he's so much fun. I'm a big Cheeto Vera fan, and I'm a fan of Dominic Cruz for different reasons. I'm the gamblers fan of Cruz, because like in my opinion, boring fighters that get the job done are like the most exciting fighters for gamblers. You just sit back. You're never nervous about the bet. It's like betting on George St. Pierre. It's like, he took him down again. You're sitting back with your cigar just like laughing your ass off because that dude ain't getting up and George is going to be on top of him for the full 5 minutes. He's going to go back to his corner and he's going to do it again, rinse and repeat, and then and still. So, yeah, I mean, Cheeto Army is going to march forward. He's going to try to take this dude's head off, and Dominic Cruz is going to his knees better be in good shape because he's going to need to be springing around on the balls of his feet, dancing all over that cage, trying to do his best to do anything but stand in front of Marlon Cheeto Vera because that is very bad for your health. I can't wait for that main event. It's such a good fight. Best fave, Silva, Budai, Godinez, Vera. I'm with you, Goots. Papa Chuck saying no. Zalal and Lupi via decision. Budai KO. Yeah. Oh, Zalal and Lupi via decision. Well, if Zalal wins, it's by decision pretty much. Not only has Zalal never been finished or gotten a finish at the UFC level, but Damon Blackshear has never been finished in his career. Wendy saying, I can't wait for this main event. One of the main events of the year. Hope Cheeto wins. Let's go, Cheeto. Which match you think gets a draw? The draw fight for me would be the Calvillo Nunez fight, or potentially it could be Cachoeira Lipski because Cachoeira is such a fucking cheater. The chances of her getting a point deducted are very high, and whenever you have a point deduction, the odds of a draw go way up. So, yeah, that would be a good play for a draw there, and it's one of the more likely fights to go to decision. That would be what I would guess for. Wendy Willis saying, Weezy, after you win the Budai bet it all again on Cheeto. You'll thank me later. Maybe I will. We'll see. As promised, I've just become your high-tier patron. Dave, I truly appreciate that, man. And you're going to have access to that prop template, and you're going to be absolutely smashing the bookies on these time props. And I just wanted to show you guys something, by the way, on this prop template. We were looking at the Bresky Budai fight doesn't go to decision. Now, this thing was sitting at minus 188 earlier in the week. I got it at minus 125 earlier today, which is a 55% implied probability. So I smashed it for 2.5 units. And on probability, we talk about the trifecta. And the trifecta is when this analytic here, this analytic here, and this analytic here are all in the positive. And we can see that they are. 7.57% here, 11.011% here, and 3.55%. What we're doing here is we're taking the divisional finish rate for men's 265 pounds, and we're subtracting the implied probability of the line. Now, the finish rate is just over 63%. So when you take that 63% and then you subtract and see that we're only paying 55%, we get a 7.5% edge over the long-term benchmark of how these fights finish in 3-round fights at the heavyweight division. So it's a really good edge right there. And then we can take the fighter finish rates, which between the two of them is 2 out of their 3 fights have finished inside the distance. So we've got a 66% finish rate for these 2 fighters at the UFC level, but the 55% implied probability of the line, that's an 11% edge when we compare those 2 numbers to each other. And then the fighter finish rates versus the divisional finish rate means 66% minus the divisional finish rate, which is 63%, we're getting a 3% edge there. So the analytics loved that bet. And when we see green in all 3 below the implied probability of the line, it's telling us that the analytics love that bet. So this is how we use the prop template to find value in these bets. And every once in a while, you're going to have ones that just get priced wrong. And these prop templates have all the correct formulas in there to compare the long-term analytics, which are in the analytics 3 tab and the analytics 5 tab, and have all the possible betting analytics for these divisions on the long term. So Dave, really appreciate you becoming a high tier patron, and I would encourage anybody that's making a lot of time prop bets to get that premium tier. It's $20. Even if you're a $20 a unit bettor, that's 1 unit a month in order to get access to all these analytics and really get an opportunity to smash these bookies. So Dave, I really appreciate you joining the Patreon. The link to the Patreon is in the description of the video, everyone. Wendy's saying, I will not be humble when Cheeto wins. I love it. Hey, sometimes we got to take our victory lap, Wendy. And I know that if Budai gets a big win and does it inside the distance, I'm going to be up 4 units just from my Budai money line bet, and my fight doesn't go to decision bet. So there's going to be a party at Weezy's if Budai wins inside the distance, and I'm going to be having some fun for sure. Got to enjoy your wins when they happen. We got Sicky saying, why no bet on Zalal if you haven't? I got a big 2-unit bet on him because there's no way I would bet Zalal until I saw him on the scale. This is his first fight at 135 pounds. He's cutting down. And in addition to that, Blackshear on the scale, I want to see him there because he's taking this fight on short notice. And I noticed that he's fought recently a couple of times at 140 and 145. So I get the impression that 135 isn't exactly an easy cut for Blackshear either. So I would need to see Zalal on the scales. This is his first fight at 135. We haven't seen him in about a year. There's a lot of missing information here. He could come back and be way better. Who knows? But also Blackshear is pretty good. I mean, and if you watch the tape on this dude, he's pretty well-rounded. He's a pretty good fighter. So yeah, it's just something that's not jumping out at me, and I think that I really need to see both of these guys on the scale before I come to any conclusions about whether I want to bet it or not. King Bicky saying, what's the best book to use for the Contender Series? FanDuel didn't show anything but moneyline bets. Would have loved Bo Nickel round 1. A really good book is betonline.ag. That's a really good one. They get their props out early. Their props tend to be a little bit thinner than FanDuel's, but you get early access to lines there, and sometimes you need to beat that line movement in order to be long-term profitable. So I think that's a good one. DraftKings usually has a pretty good selection of bets, of prop bets. Those are the 2 best that I can recommend, because my other books are FanDuel, like you say, that they're not good for Contender Series, and I also use Caesars, and I've never really even seen them get out anything in decent time, and they're usually slow getting their props out. So I would definitely say BetOnline will be your best option. Wendy Willis saying, hope Zalal gets finished. Don't like fighters who just like to survive and win decisions. Yeah, the funny thing is Zalal had a 100% finish rate when he got into the UFC, but sometimes, you just go up to a higher level of competition, and it's just not as easy anymore. Let me see here. Goot's saying, or he gets his face pounded through the canvas like Turman. That could absolutely happen. Because, Bruno Silva's got vicious ground and pound. Lamar Lockett saying, can you please explain the strategy of when to pick decision, no action, and finish no action on fights? So it would be something like this. All right. What I look for is when you have one fighter who gets a lot of finishes against fighter B who's not durable, and then when fighter B is a guy who only wins decisions and he's very durable, right? Or his opponent is very durable. So you know that one fighter's most likely path is to win by decision, and therefore the other fighter's most likely path is to win inside the distance. So you take the best way to play that, in my opinion, is like something like the Jason Witt fight, right? Jason Witt against Josh Quinlan. Witt has been finishing 100% of his losses. And Quinlan has a 100% finish rate in his wins. So Quinlan's most likely path is to win inside the distance. And then you look at somebody like Witt, who's got like a 55% finish rate as a pro. That means 45% of his wins are by decision. He knows how to win minutes. And we've seen that Quinlan only really knows how to win moments. So when you have that underdog now, who has his most likely path is that he's going to win by decision. And the most likely path, if he loses, is that he loses inside the distance. You take the scorecards, or you take the decision only prop, so that if Witt gets finished inside the distance, you don't lose any money. Even though Witt lost the fight, because the fight didn't go to decision, you get your money back. So get that underdog, whether it's the finish only prop or whether it's the decision only prop, in that binary fight where you've got a durable guy fighting a guy who doesn't get finishes. And then that's a good way to play that decision only prop. And the inverse is true for the finish only prop. Andy Gonzalez saying the data and understand the data is so important, not to predict the fights. It's important to know where the value of a profitable bet is. And that is absolutely correct. Because when you start trusting your mathematical model too much, what you're basically saying is that, you're only trusting the data and then you're not watching fights. But when you watch fights too, you get a lot of good information with your eyes watching fights. Is that guy breathing heavy 2.5 minutes into the first round? Because the stats don't often give you a way to gauge conditioning, and you can see other things. You can see durability. You'd be like, man, you got to hit that dude in the face with a shovel even to get him to react. You can see those things when you use your eyes, but the data and understanding what the data means really can tell you whether that line is overpriced or underpriced. And really, at the end of the day, when you know whether a line is overpriced because you understand the data, it keeps you away from making bets that will be long-term unprofitable. And the inverse is true about finding those lines where you're like, how is this, fight doesn't go to decision for Budai against Bresky at, minus 125. And you see that the data is telling you, if you compare all those three benchmarks to each other, you're always getting an advantage over those benchmarks when you compare the implied probability of the line to them. So that tells you this is a smash spot. You've got to bet that over the long term, because over the long term, that's going to be a profitable bet. Doesn't mean you're going to win every bet. On the contrary, you're going to lose a lot of fucking bets. But in the long term, when you're winning underpriced bets and, and you're staying away from overpriced ones, it just adds the ROI. It makes it so much easier. Josh Frick saying, can we get your opinion on Krause saying he's betting way more money on betting props than any book would allow a bettor to lay? Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised if that's what he's doing, because he's got access to information that the rest of us don't. So usually that's what you see hedge funds doing out there is, they're throwing money around, but they're not just doing it because some Yahoo's in front of a screen going, I think that this one's going to go up. No, I mean, they got access to information that the rest of the people don't, and they act on that information. So Krause is probably doing that. And we know that there are low limits on a lot of prop bets. So there's he could be betting big money, but he would have to probably be talking with Nick Kalikas directly over at Circa and saying, are you willing to take a position this size? Or he would have to know a market maker that was out there willing to take that size. And Krause might be able to find that kind of action, somebody willing to take that kind of action. Because oftentimes might be like, well, the bookie doesn't want to take Krause's action because he's got inside information. But if you're taking Krause's action, you know what he's thinking. And that kind of information can be very useful to you as a bookie. So there's a bunch of different ways to look at this. But yeah, what Krause does, I don't know. I don't know James Krause personally. We've never talked. So I don't exactly know what he does. I don't know how he bets. I don't know how much he bets. So I can't comment on it. But he's yeah. I mean, like he might be betting a lot, but like he might have connections that allow him to be able to do that. I just don't know, Josh. Loopy's a lock for sure. I mean, you gotta love her wrestling. Goot saying, you sold me on Harigi last night, put her in my 7-man parlay. Yeah, I like her a lot in this spot. It's not like Lucindo can't win minutes and get takedowns, but the short notice cutting down to 115 is a combination of factors that I think really makes me like Harigi in this spot. Goot saying Vera, Silva, Bugai, Godinez, Quinlan, Meerschaert, and Harigi 11-1. Let's get it, Goots. Mr. D saying nice. I'm still in creation mode, but that looks good. Wendy saying Meerschaert risky. He is risky, but he's very explosive early. Goot saying don't feel comfortable parlaying Onama, Osborne, Lipski, or Benitez at their prices. Yeah, and I kind of feel the same way. I mean, the one I would parlay, I think, is Onama, and then Benitez second, Lipski third, and Osborne fourth. Mers is a bit risky, but that parlay is like plus 600 without him in it. Yeah, that makes sense. And I already did a 4-man, Usman, Romanov, Silva, Cheeto, plus 350. Sicky saying, I wouldn't be pissed if O'Malley got a title shot if he beat Yan. Well, I mean, if he beats Yan, he should fucking get a title shot. You beat Peter Yan, you should be next up for the title. Peter Yan's incredible. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be pissed either. I think that he would absolutely deserve a title shot if he got that win. Relax on the sugar slander. Dude, it's not slander to say that he's not as good as Peter Yan. I'm a big fan of Peter Yan. Does Josh Quinlan have good takedown defense? Okay, so here's what I saw from Quinlan on the regional scene was that he didn't get a lot of takedowns shot on him. He did get taken down fairly easily, but he either got immediately right back up or swept his opponent. I am not under the impression that Josh Quinlan has a shit ground game, but I am under the impression that Jason Witt is a very good wrestler and very adept at accruing control time. And what I also am sure of is that I know who Josh Quinlan has fought in the past, and I know that none of those guys can wrestle like Jason Witt. So this is going to be a big step up, and we're going to find out a lot about Quinlan's grappling defense in this fight. We don't really know yet, but there's some people talking about they might know some people that wrestle with him. And yeah, this dude is supposed to be legit on the ground. He really is. Quinlan is not here by accident. I mean, the guy's got skills. And he is a finisher, and Dana loves finishers. So yeah, this is we're going to find out. We're going to find out on Saturday how good his takedown defense is, but he's got a legit ground game, but so does Jason Witt. Jason Witt's good. Fernando and Cena saying Harigi under 2.5 plus 160 is a good parlay piece. I bet the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 150, Fernando. I got it for 0.75 units. I think it's I don't know if I'd parlay. I don't like parlaying plus money stuff unless it's like a greasy 4-legger or something. But I wouldn't parlay it, but I think it's a good bet. I mean, I like it. Harigi's a good finisher, very good finisher, and so is Lucindo. And they're both dangerous at different parts. Harigi's dangerous standing. Lucindo is dangerous when she gets takedowns and she's in top control. And it's a short notice fight for Yasmin Lucindo, and she's cutting down to 115. So there's a lot of factors that make me like violence in this spot. And it's a debut for both fighters, so we could see adrenaline dumps and fighters getting tired earlier than they normally would. Wendy Willis saying, in the words of the great Tupac Shakur, Dom Cruz, live and die in San Diego. Goots saying, yeah, I remember doing a bit of that stuff in high school. Dope you got a use for what you learned, though. Yeah, man, it's true. Nathan 98 saying Dillashaw versus Vera would be very fun to watch. Yes, it would, man. Yes, it would. Fernando saying that, Goots, I like that parlay plus 350, and I'll include in Canelo. Goots saying, hope Jones will fight early 2023. I hope he does. I'd like to see him back in there. Addicted to Combat saying, hopped in late, but what's up, Unk? Good to see you in here, brother. I was just shouting you out earlier in the stream, man. I hope you're doing well. Goots saying, that works, Fernando. And I don't know who Canelo is fighting, but he probably wins. Yeah, it's true, man. Yeah, Tabura, yes, easy money, you think. I don't know about easy money. I think Tabura is a very good grappler. And he's been a black belt for a very long time. So it's going to be an interesting fight. He fought a good grappler in Espino and had to take the easy way out in the third round and quit. So I don't know if it's easy money against Marcin Tybura. We're going to find out, though. But Romanov is a stud, and Tybura is going to be a stiff test for him. Can't wait. Check out that Patreon. I just got on it, Unk, as an MMA gambler and math lover. I'm excited. Yeah, man, I'm a math lover, too. And as, those over-under bets, I mean, when you look with your eyes, then you can look at the prop template, man. It makes all the fucking difference in the world. And I'm really excited, and I hope you guys are as excited about being able to access this thing as I am to share it with you guys, because it's been a lot of work to put this thing together, and I'm just really proud of it. So I wanted to make it available to you guys. Goots saying Hunter for life 30-20. I've seen Quinlan have solid takedown defense and some pretty nice reversals on the ground, but against lower level competition. If you're gonna bet on pick'em fights, you might as well go to the casino, unless you have a really strong read. Betway is goated if you're Canadian. Yeah, I've heard that. I think they in a few states too. Bob Spikermans, what's up, dude? Weezy the main man. Good to see you in here. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you. I appreciate you too. Bruno Armored Silva minus one of my favorites for sure. Yeah, dude. If you can last 3 rounds with Alex Pereira, that is a feather in your cap. We can trust Bruno Silva's durability. The man has never been knocked out in his entire career, only submitted. So, and a lot of those submissions were years ago. Last dude to submit him was Moise Rimbon, like 2017, 2018. It was a long time ago. So, yeah, I mean, Bruno Silva's a monster. Jarno, my guy, man. I like many dogs on this card. We got Mr. Finland in the room. Jarno, big ups to you, man. Thank you for supporting the Patreon. I truly appreciate that, brother. And, I mean, I like some dogs on this card, too. I think Tyson Nam at plus 235 is kind of cheeky. I think I have a bet on Jason Witt at plus 450 by decision. Yeah, plus 450. And it's plus 300 on 5 dimes. So plus 450 for a quarter unit, just a sprinkle. Because if he does wind up being able to take down Quinlan easily and win a ton of minutes there, he can win a decision here. And I think it's a lot more likely than, 18%. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. And Witt wins by decision, it looks like may have went to plus 375. Oh, that's a bummer, because I got it at plus 450. But, well, I like it CLV for me, but you guys hopefully didn't want to jump on now that you missed it. But, yeah, I like Tyson Nam. I like Jason Witt by decision. I think Charlie Ontiveros by first-round knockout, which is basically his only win condition, that he lands a big axe kick and just gets Benitez out of there. But I think it's only like 10-1. Yeah, it's 10-1. It's not fat enough. I got 35-1 on the Ghost Pepper last week. That was worth betting. I don't know about 10-1. So, yeah, I don't really like Charlie Ontiveros. Don't like Bresky, I'll tell you that. Nina Nunez, I'm not touching that fight. Meerschaert by sub, that's his way there. And then Devin Clark at plus money, he might be able to grind out. Dude, if he drags Azamat in the deep water and wins the second and third round, I wouldn't be surprised. But he's gonna have to, he's gonna have to survive that first round. And I think Meerschaert maybe gets it done in the first round. He's so explosive early, and Devin Clark almost always gets hurt early in every goddamn fight. And I think if Meerschaert hurts him, he's going to get on top and just pound his head through the canvas. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting fight. But, I mean, Landwehr's live. Cruz is live. Devin Clark is live. Meerschaert by sub at plus 400 or better is live. Witt by decision at plus 400 or better is live. Tyson Nam by knockout is live. I think those are all good spots, Jarno. I think there's a lot of plus money spots to like this week. Meerschaert Silva fight over 1.5 is plus 100. What do I think? Let's put it in the prop template, Daz Files. Silva Meerschaert over 1.5. So we go over here to the non-violent side of the sheet. And if we go plus 105 here for the over 1.5, we're going to see a 48.78% implied probability. Now, when we compare the benchmark, we notice that 63% of these fights go over 1.5 at this weight class for a 3-round fight. So we're getting a 14.46% edge there. In terms of these two fighters fights going over 1.5, minus 3.78%. So these guys are finishing at about 44% of their UFC fights have finished went over 1.5 rounds. And if we compare fighter finish rates or the fighter decision rates in this case to the divisional decision rates, we see that these guys definitely are going over 1.5 a lot less than the division does as a whole. So these are two violent fighters who finish a ton. So you're overpaying, but when you compare this number here, you're underpaying, and that is the benchmark of how many fights go over 1.5 rounds compared to the implied probability of the line. And that is showing you that this line, everybody's betting violence, so it's gotten pushed too far the other way. So when you're getting a big number here, it means that you're being a contrarian, but that contrarian side isn't the worst place to be because the long-term benchmark is in your favor, and you just need 7.5 minutes. And it's a fight. Anything can happen. So at plus 100, I'd like it to be a little bit better than that, but it's not a bad bet if that's your read on the fight, Daz Files. Brian is in the room saying, Weezy, what's up, dude? Good to see you, Brian. Thanks for hanging out. Bob Spikerman saying, Silva shaving ass back in M1 scene at huge dog odds. Yeah, dude, he beat Shlemenko. He beat Artem Frolov. He beat some studs. He beat Kovalev over there. Some really big wins for Bruno Silva. Victor saying, can anyone please tell me if DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, and BetMGM are legal in Florida? I have a flight at 7:15 a.m. and if not, I want to make sure I get all my bets done before I leave. So let me FanDuel. I can tell you FanDuel's legal. Sportsbook. Nope. FanDuel is not legal in Florida. It's in Wyoming, West Virginia, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, Ohio, New York, New Jersey, the Mohegan Reservation in Connecticut, Michigan, Louisiana, Kansas, Iowa, Indiana, Connecticut, Colorado, Arizona, Illinois. So it's probably not legal in Florida either. So you might want to get those bets in early, Vic. Silky B saying, hit the like, y'all. Appreciate you. Early lean in the Tagir Ulanbekov versus Nate Maness. Man, I would be very worried about Nate being able to push a pace for 3 rounds in the flyweight division after that weight cut. You know, I would have to see how Nate looks on the scale because that would be a big worry for me. I think Ulanbekov could, wrestle him and control him. He's a good enough wrestler to do that. It's a tough matchup, and it's going to be very tough for Nate if that weight cut does affect him like we think it could, because he was already a big bantamweight, wasn't he? I don't know how the hell he's going to cut down to 126, but I wish him luck. I would lean to Gear if the weight cut goes how I'm picturing it going, but if Nate gets his shit together and cuts the weight correctly and he's looked into it and the doctors have told him, yeah, you could do that and it wouldn't harm your performance too bad, man, Nate Maness's power at 125 is going to be a fucking problem for anybody. So it's a very interesting fight to bring up, Tristan. I think the weight cut means everything to me, but Tagir's been unimpressive, but he's impressive enough when he's going against somebody that doesn't have top-notch wrestling. And I'm not sure if Nate's wrestling is top-notch. Sicky saying, thoughts on fight to go the distance in the Odie fight at plus 120. Let's see. Yeah, so I've got it here listed at plus 120. So when we compare the long-term benchmark of fights going to decision against the implied probability of the line, we notice that about 60% of flyweight fights go to decision, but we're only paying 45% here. But when we compare the fighter finish rates, or in this case, the fighter decision rates, to on this middle line, it's the implied probability of the line, and then on the bottom line, it's to the divisional finish rate. We see that these guys go to decision 9% less on the aggregate than the division does, and we can see those numbers right down here. 4 of their 11 combined UFC fights have went to decision, so that's 36.36%. So when we compare that to the 45% implied probability of the line, we're overpaying by 9%. And when we compare the divisional decision rate, which is 60%, to that 37%, which with these guys go to decision, we see that we're overpaying by 23%. So the fighter analytics, meaning Osborne and his opponents' combined UFC stats, are telling you that they're going to decision much less than the division does, and that you would have to get a big break in this number to consider that bet. It's probably not enough for me plus 120. I'd like to get plus 130, plus 140 to get this number closer to 0 and to get this number closer to 18% or something like that. But even then, it would really worry me because both of these guys have got a ton of power, and Odie Osborne's got some really good sneaky submissions. But Tyson Nam is very durable, very, very durable. So it's not a bet that I would make, though, Sicky. Ulanbekov sucked ass his last fight against Tim Elliott. Lost as a minus 250 favorite. Yeah, people are paying that Russian tax just blindly. They just assume because somebody's got a V at the end of their name that they're going to out-wrestle a guy like Tim Elliott, who's been wrestling since he was in diapers. T-Rex saying, Uncle, your videos are good vibes. Thank you. Always looking forward. Appreciate those words, T-Rex. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for hanging out. Mr. D saying, no, they are not at Victor De Jesus. They can only play fantasy here in Florida right now unless you use offshore books. T-Rex saying, let's click on that like button, everybody. Appreciate you, man. Wendy saying, where's your flight? They might be legal in that state. Yeah, Mr. D, all of them are illegal. That sucks, man. Thanks to the info. I fly to Tampa, Florida in the morning. Nice. Papa saying, what would be the odds of Jacques Titz going up against any high-level pro mathematician? Oh, dude, he'd be minus 100, but he'd probably have a minus next to his name. Jacques Titz is an absolute giant in the field of geometry. So if we're talking geometry, abstract geometry, Jacques Titz has got a negative, he got a minus next to his number there. He's going to be a favorite, baby. That's for sure. Goot saying, Nate the Train and Nunez only dogs I'd consider. Gotcha. Mr. D saying, yup, you can use DraftKings, FanDuel, etc. For fantasy, but not for bets. That's why I'm limited to offshores right now until they change the law. It really sucks. Yeah, that does suck, man. The Mac of the Flapjack Stack. Glad to see it still on the screen. Yeah, man, I've just had that scrolling the entire time. It's such a great line, Dope Space Cowboy. Thanks for that, man. I'm going to keep it up there for a minute. Goot saying, let's get that counter up to 50, fellas. Let's do it, man. Papa Chuck saying, everything is legal in Florida. What the fuck? Fender Jazz saying, hey, Weezy, I was just catching up on your show with Brady and saw you were live. Hey, man, I appreciate you for hanging out, dude. Yeah, me and Brady do Probability together. Me and Brady do the DFS show together on Pub Sports Radio. We also do Stat Diggers together on Pub Sports Radio, and Probability is on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. And that's when we get to see this beautiful prop template here. So thanks for hanging out, Fender Jazz. Appreciate you, man. How do I see the first 2 rounds of the Vera Cruz fight going? I see Cruz trying to win minutes. I see him maybe mixing in wrestling in the last minute and a half of the round in close rounds where he's trying to use his jab, trying to stay on his bike, moving laterally, moving in and out, trying to be faster than Vera and not stand in front of him. and then use his wrestling in order to win some minutes and bank rounds. That's how I see the first two going, and I see Vera just kind of trying to figure out what the hell this guy Cruz is doing, because it's a very tough puzzle to solve. And until you're actually in there with somebody that fights like him, it's really hard to know how you're going to react. But he's not just going to stand in front of Marlon Vera and make this easy for him. So I really do see it being kind of slow paced. It always takes Vera a little while to get his timing and to get his confidence and start to really put the pressure on. But I think that Cruz has got a really good chance to win the early rounds. Silky B saying, if Vera doesn't win inside the distance, all my capping logic goes out the window. Yeah, I mean that's really what it is. Like if Vera won a decision here, it would be mind-boggling. And if Cruz won inside the distance, it would be like, what the fuck just happened? This is one of those binary fights where you do use decision only and finish only props. The Marlon Vera finish only prop is about as safe a bet as there is on the card this week. And the Dominic Cruz decision only prop at plus money is another good play. Gogo Flamingo saying, do you like Meerschaert Clark fight doesn't go to decision? That's a weird one. This is another one where you've got down here in Meerschaert, right? 9 of 11 of his fights have finished inside the distance. That's 81%. But for Devin Clark as a pro, it's 10 of 19. It's 52%. And it's only 46% at the UFC level that his fights are finishing inside the distance. But with Meerschaert, it's 100%. So instead of playing the time props here, what I'm really looking to do is maybe I'm saying, okay, if Meerschaert wins this fight, I think it's Meerschaert in under 1.5. If Devin Clark wins this fight, it's Devin Clark in over 1.5. And you can get both of those at plus money. And then if Devin Clark gets a finish in the first 7.5 minutes, you'd be like, what just happened? And if Meerschaert gets another jump knee knockout in the third round, you'd be like, fuck. But neither of those things are very likely outcomes. So that's how I would try to play this rather than picking, because I kind of feel like the time props are baked into each fighter's win condition. If you like fight goes to decision, why not just bet Devin Clark to win by decision? If you like the under 1.5, why not just bet Azamat Meerschaert round 1? That's the way I'm looking at this one. So the time props don't tell me much because there's such a big divergence between the finish rates of both fighters, right? And when we have that divergence, I start looking away from the time props and towards the individual fighters' win conditions. That's how I cap fights that fit into this particular archetype, Gogo Flamingo. And my guy Brian, again, saying Weezy with the thumbs up and the flame. Let's go. Let's get it. Which upcoming pay-per-view main event are I most pumped for? Usman Edwards, Chimaev Diaz is a main event. Fuck, it's going to end in a death. Charlie Olives against Islam Makhachev, without question. Then number 2 would be Izzy Pereira. Number 3 would be Usman Edwards. And I've always been a Nate Diaz fan, so I don't want to see him die. That is my least favorite one of the 4. Sicky saying 6 in the morning right now, watching the GOAT. My man is up here supporting the channel, hanging out. And then we got a ring-a-ding-ding. Not only is Sicky hanging out at 6 a.m., but my guy Gogo Flamingo with a $5 donation to the channel saying, Weezy here giving his night away for the boys. Slowly and sensually rub that like button clockwise and at a constant speed and pressure. It's very clear just from that sentence right there that Gogo Flamingo could also be known as the Pleasure Man. That is beautiful stuff, Gogo Flamingo. Excellent, excellent. Truly appreciate the donation to the channel, brother. It means a lot. Goots is looking forward to Izzy versus Alex, and I understand the hype on that fight. That's the rematch, the narrative that Izzy is undefeated in the UFC at 185 pounds, but now he's got to fight a guy that's actually beaten him twice in professional kickboxing. So, yeah, that's wild, man. Victor De Jesus saying, good luck this weekend, everyone. Let's stack them high. Let's get it, Victor. Have a good, safe flight, man. And good luck to you this weekend. Goots saying, I could see Vera winning a decision, but Cruz's face going to look like a horror mask. Yeah, that would be the case. Papa Chuck saying, is it just me or does Cheeto have a chance to act in movies, etc.? After UFC, Danny Trejo comes to mind. I think he could do it, man. I think he could. He's got a beautiful head of hair on him. Silky B saying, you killed me with that lamb recipe. Can you give us a quick carnitas tip? Okay. All right. Yeah, I can. All right. So you asked. So here's what we do. Here's how I do my carnitas. I take the blender, right, and I make a mash. So what I'm going to do is the night before I make that carnitas, I'm going to take one of these big ass bags, right, and I'm going to vacuum seal it with the pork shoulder in there, and then I'm going to poke a bunch of holes in that pork shoulder so it seeps in that marinade that I'm going to put it in. Now, here's the marinade. I'm going to take like an entire head of garlic. I'm going to peel that shit. I'm going to throw it in a blender. I'm going to take some fresh oranges. I'm going to juice them. I'm going to take some fresh limes, and I'm going to juice them. Now, what I've been doing lately is substituting pineapple juice for the orange juice. So I've been doing pineapple juice, lime, garlic, and then I'll do a little bit of the spice in there too. So some cumin, some chili powder, some salt and pepper, and what am I forgetting? Besides a little bit of oregano as well, and then the juices. Yeah. So all that, throw that in the blender, and you make like a paste out of it. And then you take that pork shoulder that you've been poking all the holes in, you put it in that bag, you pour that paste in there, you vacuum seal that bag, you put it overnight in the refrigerator, and it just seeps up all that citrus in it, and that citrus starts to cook it right away. Then what we do is we get an iron skillet, and then we're going to take that thing out in the morning, right? And we got to get up early because we want to be eating by a decent hour. So we're going to start at like 8, 9 a.m. We're going to get that iron skillet. We're going to get some oil in there, and then we're going to brown all the sides of that pork shoulder in that iron skillet. And then we're going to be preheating our oven to 200 degrees on the dot, 200. Then what we do is we're going to take a Dutch oven, right? We're going to once we've browned all the sides of that pan on medium high heat, a little bit of oil in the pan, brown it for about 4 minutes on each side. Then we put it in the we put it in the Dutch oven, and then we take that mash that it's been marinating in overnight, and we just dump that over there. We take a red onion, we cut that thing up, and we get it, or I'm sorry, a white onion. We're going to take a white onion, we're going to cut off the sides, we're going to chop that thing up, and we're just going to dump it on the pork shoulder so that it's sitting in the marinade, the onion, and it's browned in that pan. We're going to leave it in the oven for about 8 hours. Take it out at 200 degrees. That thing, you just take 2 forks and you just pull it apart, and it just all completely pulls apart. It's absolutely delicious. I make black bean soup to go with it. I also make like a cilantro lime rice to go with it. A little bit of pico de gallo in there, maybe a mango salsa or something like that. But the pineapple is the key ingredient. That's the citrus that really gives it that beautiful carnitas flavor. So I'm glad you asked. That is your Uncle Weezy's carnitas recipe. Maybe I'll even do a video one day. But that is my favorite. I love that shit. Goot saying, me and my bro are huge Pereira fans, and we've been waiting for him to join the UFC for a while. Well, you got what you wanted, man. He's got that title shot, and this is going to be awesome. It's going to be a great fight. Papa Chuck saying Weezy's going to add recipes to his Patreon. And we got Victor Jesus saying, hey, Unc, I'm a whiskey man, but curious, what brand of tequila do you use for Palomas? Right now, I'm using something called, oh, damn it. Be right back. Hang on. Guys, it's Tequila Distillador. So it's the Distillador right there. I also use Espolón or Mi Campo, or there's a couple others. You know, like the regular $20 stuff is pretty good, and then you got to have the either the Mexican squirt or the Mexican Jarritos grapefruit flavor. But that's what I use, Vic. Jacob 547, I like Vera Cruz fight doesn't go. The analytics agree with you there that is at a valuable price right now. Vendor Jazz saying, I just got introduced to mimosas with pineapple instead of orange juice. Delicious eye opener. Yeah, pineapple is one of my favorite fruits. And man, what it does to pork is absolutely fucking amazing. So that the carnitas, the key is the pineapple, but it also that marinade. When you do it into a mash with all the garlic, it is absolutely perfect. Jarno saying MMA cooking show. I love this. That's right, man. My parents owned a restaurant. My grandmother, my father's mother, was one of the best cooks on the face of the entire planet. I come from a long line of people that know how to feed a family and feed a room of people and make them love it. So yeah, I love to cook. Papa Chuck saying, for your information, Nate, the train is plus 1681 via sub on my bookie right now. That's not a bad sprinkle, and it isn't, dude. With that, he seems to like those Darce chokes. And if you go shooting in sloppily on Nate the Train, he can lock that up, man. Damn, Weezy needs a cooking channel too. Love it. Mind blown. Chef Weezy's the man. I appreciate you, dude. Weezy with the citrus stats. Yeah, man, you got that right. The citrus is the key to a good carnitas. And T.O. Phillips saying, came for the UFC stats, stay for the marinades. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Look, we've been doing this for almost 2 hours. I'm going to get out of here, you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out and here. 58 of you right now listening to me talk about cooking and MMA. And I appreciate all of you. Love all of you. Smash that like button on the way out. I'm done with content on no, I'm not. Because I'm going to be giving you guys a greasy four-leg parlay at some point tomorrow after all the props drop. I'll get that out to you guys, and I'll put it right here on the channel, and we'll try to cash one this week. But thank you guys all for coming. If you haven't checked out the Patreon, please check it out. If you want to find a way to support your Uncle Weezy, that $5 tier for the stats is worth it. And if you're looking for some high-level analytics here, check out the Patreon, the prop template. It's awesome, and I'd appreciate any support that I could get from you guys. But thank you for hanging out. Smash that like button on your way out. Smash the subscribe on the way out if you haven't done that already. And go subscribe over to the MMA Engine and the Pub Sports Radio while you're at it. Thank you, guys. I will see you tomorrow for the greasy four-leg parlay. And the only thing we have left to do, you guys, is to stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC San Diego. Let's stack them high this week, make some money, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow with a greasy four-leg parlay right here on this channel. Good night, everybody. Appreciate all of you.